I love it. I kind of definitely want to see it. And we know if this does happen, the card is going to be insane because they're not going to put Joe Schmoes on the card. I mean, this is going to be the best of the best in front of the White House. So that could potentially happen, and Jon Jones likes it too.
Aspinall's amazing. He's unbelievable. He's fast for a heavyweight. He's big. He can grapple, black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's got knockout power, but he's never been in deep water. Ever. That's kind of crazy if you look at his career.
Joe Rogan has delivered a strong warning to Jon Jones to not overlook Tom Aspinall. Rogan has been loud on his podcast and social media, stating that Aspinall is not only a talented heavyweight, but also an incredibly dangerous opponent, who Jones should be wary of fighting. He dubbed Aspinall an animal, citing his knockout power, athleticism, speed, and propensity to end fights quickly. Tom Aspinall is recognized for his explosive style and clinical striking, with an average fight time of slightly over 2 minutes. He hasn't just beaten opponents, he has defeated them decisively. And this is what Joe Rogan envisions happening if the White House fight occurs.
Donald Trump just said that he wants to hold a UFC event at the White House next year for America's 250th birthday. And not just any UFC event, he wants to hold a championship UFC event at the White House next year. And this got me thinking, what a perfect time for Jon Jones to come out of retirement and fight Tom Aspinall at the White House next year for America's 250th birthday. What is more patriotic, what is more American than the best?
Rogan has stated that Aspinall is not the type of fighter to pit yourself against after a layoff or for the sake of legacy. He believes that if Jones approaches the Aspinall fight carelessly or without a properly focused training camp, he may suffer a career-defining loss. While Jon Jones has been hailed as one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time, having gone undefeated for over a decade and winning both the light heavyweight and heavyweight titles, Rogan's warning highlights the serious challenge Aspinall poses, particularly in the current heavyweight landscape. The discussion about Jones and Aspinall is already reaching a new level as U.S. President Donald Trump hinted of hosting. The UFC event will take place on the White House lawn as part of America's 250th birthday celebrations. Dana White didn't hold back his delight, instantly tweeting a photo of himself with Trump and Joe Rogan from a prior White House visit. He captioned it, "UFC White House, my boys," on Instagram. Rogan followed up by sharing the message, fueling anticipation that something significant is in the pipeline.
Jon Jones. I'll be honest, Tom's a friend. I love Tom. He's one of the coolest dudes in the whole of MMA. Even though Jones is getting old, I just can't pick against Jon Jones. I've been watching Jon Jones, as I say.
What began as a meme rapidly evolved into a serious discussion. The story was taken up by media sources and the MMA world began to speculate on the idea of a UFC event taking place at one of the most historically significant venues in the United States. If such an event takes place, it is expected to be more than just an exhibition or a small presentation. It would most likely include major names, none larger than Jon Jones and Conor McGregor. Jones has reportedly expressed interest in returning for a marquee bout, and the White House scenario could be the historic opportunity that pulls him out of the uncertain limbo he's been in since his injury in 2023 and subsequent inactivity.
Is there a fighter in MMA or the UFC that you just find absolutely insufferable? Because for me, it's Jon Jones, and there is no close second. Jon Jones defended his heavyweight title against a retired 42-year-old Stipe Miocic back in November. Ever since then, Jon has been saying, "What has Tom Aspinall done to deserve to fight me?" You know, besides Tom being the interim champ and having a defense with that belt, Jon has just found every possible way to not fight Tom.
Michael Bisping fueled the topic during a YouTube video in which he claimed that both Jon Jones and Conor McGregor would appear prominently on the UFC White House show if it materialized. According to Bisping, only one fight could persuade Jones to come out of semi-retirement or a protracted absence, a clash with Tom Aspinall in front of the White House. He presented the hypothetical battle as England versus the United States, a high-stakes, high-profile match with significant national symbolism and promotional value. Bisping highlighted that this would not simply be a UFC major event. It would be a worldwide sporting event, the kind that goes beyond the octagon and gains political and cultural significance.
The fight will never happen. Gun to my head, I would have said Jon Jones will beat him right now. Tom has never been pushed into those championship rounds. That first time you feel that, I gotta get up off that stool after the third round. You needed to fight Tom now when he doesn't have that experience, especially as Jon
Jones, for his part, has not completely discounted the concept. While he has not officially committed to fighting Aspinall, he has shown an interest in competing on the White House card. This is consistent with his previous pronouncements about only returning for legacy-defining battles or matchups that provide huge financial and historical rewards. Meanwhile, Aspinall has continued to proclaim his desire for the fight, openly claiming that he wants to unify the belt against Jones and establish himself as the legitimate heavyweight champion. He has held the temporary title since late 2023, and his performances since then have only increased the pressure on Jones to prove his own claims to the crown.
You take PEDs, you become faster than people who are not taking PEDs, and you win a race. That's okay. You're a cheat, you've won, they'll take your title off you or whatever, that's fine. If your job is to hurt another person, physically hurt another person, which could potentially redirect the rest of their life post-fighting, you're an absolute piece of shit, and you should never be able to fight again if you have any PED.
The buzz surrounding the battle has only grown over time. Aspinall remains prepared, calling Jones out after each victory and cementing his reputation as one of the division's most dangerous fighters. His size, speed, and precision striking make him a stylistic nightmare for the majority of heavyweights. Many experts have pointed out that his approach balances the slower, methodical pace that Jones has occasionally preferred. Jones, who turned 38 in July 2025, is no longer the light heavyweight champion he once was. The time off, injuries, and increasing public scrutiny have all influenced how fans and experts perceive him. However, his skill set, expertise, and adaptability continue, almost unrivaled. If he comes into a bout with Aspinall well prepared, it may be one of the most interesting tactical clashes in UFC history.
Think of the star Aspinall would have been if we just would have got that fight over with right away. Think of the star Ngannou still would have been for this company if you just would have had that fight and moved it on. And then you have an epic rivalry between those two, Aspinall and Ngannou. Like the years and years of amazing heavyweight fights could have been happening if Jon Jones just wasn't a petulant child, and if the UFC wasn't just the, oh no, it's fine, he's just finding himself, like just so annoying.
Aside from the fighting, the cultural and political implications of a White House UFC event provide additional weight to this potential battle. Donald Trump has long supported combat sports, hosting early UFC events at his venues and maintaining a close bond with Dana White. Trump's return to political prominence in 2025 has sparked discussions about combining sports with state events, and the UFC appears to be ready to profit on it. Having a battle like Jones versus Aspinall in such a high-profile setting would significantly raise the stakes. Fighters, analysts, and promoters all realize what's at play. A spectacle that has the potential to transform the global perception of MMA.
Why is that fight not happening? Well, it could be for two reasons. It's either that Jon Jones is using a strategy to have more money. You could say it, GSP. Go for it. Come on, say what you want to say. But I think that's why he's doing it. You know, if he's doing it just to hold the title, to serve the wave, this is not. And if he has no intention of coming back, that's not right. You know. But if he does it for as a strategy to have more money, I can understand why. But I think that the UFC needs to do something to get things.
The White House card has yet to be confirmed, but there is real movement toward it. Donald Trump has expressed his support. Dana White has officially supported the proposal, and Rogan and Bisping are taking it seriously. Aspinall is actively advocating for it, and Jones remains a crucial decision-maker. Whether Jones eventually accepts to fight Aspinall, especially in such a high-profile venue, is determined by a combination of health, money, and pride. With his extensive history, Jones may only find value in a battle that goes beyond belts and rankings. A brawl at the White House may be that moment.
I'll just come out and ask you, do you think he's ducking Tom Aspinall?
No. Jon Jones, I said it a million times, I'll say it again, he's never ducked anybody other than that one goofy time with the Chael Sonnen thing. He's never ducked anybody, and I think the reality is, whatever changed his mind with this fight, I don't know, you'd have to ask him that, but he's 38 years old, and I don't know.
Do you think if it was someone like Alex Pereira, he would fight them? And it's maybe Tom that he specifically doesn't fancy them?
McGregor, for his part, has also entered the ring. Bisping stated that McGregor was anxious to face Michael Chandler at the same event, possibly as a co-main. McGregor reportedly stated that the White House would be the ideal location to settle the score, referring to the long-delayed fight with Chandler. Dana White is still considering all alternatives. It is unclear whether the White House event is formally sanctioned or adapted to a similar historical place.
I'm going to retire John Jones without even fighting him. He said that nearly a year ago today. Tom Aspinall said those words. And never have words aged better in the MMA world than Tom Aspinall saying that about...
Sure, Tom Aspinall and John Jones haven't walked into the octagon to face each other, but that hasn't stopped their names from being linked in daily headlines and fan discussions. Even Tom Aspinall's father could not help but notice the spectacle. In a recent conversation, he was open about the buzz surrounding the grappling partnerships. He recognized how passionate MMA fans can be, especially when something as simple as a training partnership suggests a larger rivalry.
UFC White House is crazy, dude. How's that even a thing? Is that allowed? How is Donald even allowed to do that? Be kind of gangster, though. Chandler versus McGregor. Be kind of gangster. Aspinall. John Jones wants to fight on it. Classic. Back in the testing pool after 2 weeks. Bro is a troll and a half. He's not having his title back. That just can't be happening. Allberg Roundtree would be sick. Strickland.
He mentioned how amusing it was to see people putting together hypotheses about John and Tom based on who they were rolling with on the mats. According to him, many were quick to assume Craig was training Tom to ruin everything Gordon Ryan had ever showed John.
John Jones retires 2 weeks ago. No fights, no updates, just fades out, and no word on Tom Aspinall. Now out of nowhere, he's back in the USADA testing pool. And why? Because the UFC is holding an event at the White House. Not for the top contender.
This adds a new dimension to an already complex network of rivalries, intrigue, and potential confrontations. Aspinall's father noted that the internet generates narratives quickly, frequently turning simple material into complex scenarios. He says, "The odd thing is, the guy who teaches John Jones is Craig's archenemy. When they view this footage of Tom and Craig, they'll think Craig is now repairing things that Gordon Ryan might be teaching John." It reflects how convoluted tales in combat sports frequently extend beyond the cage, tying together training partners, previous rivalries, and projected tactical fights long before any contracts are signed.
Or not wanting to fight, you think, or do you think it's a combination?
Well, I can tell you some stuff about the money situation, but I'm not sure I can say it on camera, so I will tell you that after. I think I think I'm a bad matchup for him, to be honest, and I think he knows it.
My opinion, I think it's a huge risk.
Yeah.
It's a huge risk. You're younger, you're athletic, you hit hard, you pose problems. We don't have much data on you.
All of this comes shortly after John Jones announced his retirement from competition. Tom Aspinall has taken complete authority as the incumbent UFC heavyweight champion, as his retirement is now part of the organization's existing structure. When Jones stepped out, there was instant debate about whether this would pave the way for Aspinall's unchallenged reign or whether Jones' reappearance was only a matter of time. Aspinall didn't hang around. He publicly said that he was prepared to guide the division ahead and fulfill the promise of an active champion. Aspinall has always expressed a desire to compete on a regular basis throughout 2024 and 2025. One of his repeated statements was that he did not want to hold up the divide. He wanted to keep busy, defend the belt, and increase the level of competition.
And say, no, you're not going to take this. And do you know what John Jones did? You have it. I don't want to fight. You can have it. This is unbelievable. The greatest of all time. What a load of shit. I'm sorry. Never going to call that him the GOAT. Ever again. Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what John Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself throughout the whole of your career. Are you willing to fight the biggest challenges, the biggest tests, go in there and test it?
After months of doubt surrounding his next fight, Aspinall has now verified that it has been planned. While the UFC has not yet made an official announcement, Aspinall said on the One-on-One podcast that his next fight has been finalized behind the scenes. He claims that meetings have already taken place, and a date and opponent have been confirmed.
Hey USA, what's new with you? Kinda weird, but Trump wants to host a UFC fight in the White House. I have so many questions, but let's start with why. So next year in 2026 is our 250th birthday. And because of that, Trump wants to make a huge celebration and he wants to make it unforgettable. So he was like, how about we hold a UFC fight in the White House? And UFC is okay with that? Well, yeah, Trump is good friends with Dana White, who is the boss of UFC. Back in 2001, Trump helped Dana White and let him use his casino, Trump Taj Mahal, to host a UFC.
Meetings have ended, and I am now in a conflict. We have a date. We've got an opponent to work with, he explained. Although he did not provide specifics, this statement was sufficient to indicate that UFC fans could expect a formal announcement. Shortly, Cyril Gane's name has risen to the top of the list of probable opponents due to his rating and history in the category, but no confirmation has been released. The conjecture will certainly continue until the UFC officially announces the opponent and date. But Aspinall has previously stated that the heavyweight division will not wait for Jon Jones to return.
I would even say this, and I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I would say that Jon Jones ducked Tom Aspinall so hard that he went through self-destructive measures just to avoid a fight with this man. That's how good Tom Aspinall is. And everyone you're going to list off is going to get beat.
Well, we'll see.
While Tom continues pushing forward, Joe Rogan has revisited the Jones versus Aspinall argument, digging down on his previous worries and adding new perspective. On a recent broadcast of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan responded to Jones' claims that a bout with Aspinall would not be large enough. Rogan strongly disagreed, claiming Jones is misjudging the scale and significance of the fight. Speaking with UFC bantamweight Corey Sandhagen, Rogan stated unequivocally that Aspinall is a star, and the assumption that the fight will not sell or draw is simply incorrect. According to Rogan, this is also a money war. I think he's mistaken because I believe Aspinall is a star. I really do. And I believe he's saying, who is he? He is no one. Aspinall is a star. People frequently ask me, casually on the street, is Jon Jones going to fight Tom Aspinall? That's equivalent to asking the same question all the time. Rogan's comments were not only about fan curiosity, but also about the bigger consequences for Jones' legacy and the importance of uniting the heavyweight division.
What do you make of Tom Aspinall and all the things that he's been saying about it?
I think he should go on and have a wonderful career.
Do you think that he needs you?
No, I think he needs me. When you want something bad enough, and if you get it, it could be the worst thing that could ever happen to you. I love being the ultimate troll. He's not in a position to excite me. Because if I whoop his ass, it's going to be the next guy. There's going to be a whole new fan base of somebody who everybody believes in.
The timing of these words is critical. At the same time as Jones is being touted for potential exhibition style or legacy fights, such as a White House UFC event, Aspinall is securing legitimate title defenses. It is a directional contrast. Jones is leaning toward famous one-off moments, whereas Aspinall is focused on defending and defining his championship reign. This dual storyline highlights the absence of an actual conflict between them. Aspinall has stated in many occasions that, while he respects Jones, his priority is to defend the belt and stay active.
But he's like the longest running heavyweight champion in the history of the UFC, isn't he? But he's only he hasn't fought anyone. I don't think it's going to happen, you know. I think John gets a lot of money for being champion. I think the sponsors and that are paying him a fortune, and I think he's just dragging along, keeping the belt as long as possible because it's worth that much money to him. I mean, John's often struggled with tall people who are good boxers. I imagine he probably, if he did fight him.
Dana White has stated that he will meet with Aspinall during International Fight Week, if he hasn't already. The UFC's regular summer showcase might be a huge announcement for Aspinall's next fight. While talk about the White House event continues, no definite details regarding the venue or strategy have emerged. What has materialized is Aspinall's continued ascension and determination to put the belt on the line against any opponent. If the Jones fight never takes place, it will not be owing to Aspinall's inactivity. He has been consistent in his rhetoric and has done everything expected of a champion looking to establish legitimacy.
I don't know, did you see his series of tweets over the last few days inferring that basically he told you guys that he was retired last November and that your efforts to make the Aspinall fight were basically futile?
It's not true.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that what you wanted to ask me?
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. But what do you make of him coming out and saying saying contrary to what you've said there?
I don't know. I'm telling you the truth.
Craig Jones and Tom Aspinall's training connection has a deeper metaphorical component. Grappling enthusiasts immediately recognized Craig and Gordon Ryan's competitive past, and by extension, Gordon's presence in Jon Jones training camps. In the views of many admirers, this formed a network of influence. With Craig teaching Aspinall, it was easy to see him thinking around Gordon's tactics, not only as a competitor, but as a specialist capable of deciphering another expert's strategy. Though such assumptions are probably overblown, they describe how fans process these links. Even though Jones and Aspinall have never touched gloves in the cage, their paths continue to intersect via coaches, public pronouncements, and indirect relationships. The discussion is not only about who fights whom, but also about who teaches what and how far those teachings may go across training rooms and combat camps.
You got the time he asked for and everything. I just got told that I was fighting and I went along with it, and that's all I know.
Yeah. In your mind, were you expecting a contract? Like, were you to that point where you were thinking that a contract would come through at any moment?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was expecting that. Yeah, but didn't happen.
And I don't know if you saw this or not, but Dana White pulled a very prominent MMA journalist, Oscar Willis, from the MAC Life. And the fight,
very prominent,
was done. He said it was finished. The fight was done. When did you start to feel like, maybe the fight's not done?
Finally, Aspinall's clarity about his intentions contrasts with the ambiguity that surrounds Jones. Even if Jones never returns to the ring, his name will be associated with every discussion regarding the heavyweight championship. However, as Aspinall continues to train at the top levels and prepares for an unannounced opponent, the division's weight has definitely changed. The jiu-jitsu competition, Jones' retirement, and behind-the-scenes fight scheduling all contribute to an ever-changing heavyweight landscape. The connection Tom and Craig Jones feud may have begun as a typical training session, but in the context of the larger MMA universe, it added further flame to a rivalry that still lives on, even if no bout has actually taken place. But how do you envision this playing out? Please share your opinions below and subscribe for future updates.